Welcome, my name is Oliver. I am a robot, but enough about me. This isn't about me, this is about Saul, and Richard, and video games, and the universe. So come with us, or more specifically, with them, enter the save state, save state, save state, save state, save state. Enter the save state, save state, save state, save state, save state.
Hello and welcome everybody, or more likely nobody is ever going to listen to this, but welcome to the Save State Gaming Podcast. My name's Saul. Today we have also with me,
Man of many names.
really, give us one of them.
Chud. Which I believe we'll be referring to myself. Right. So hello everybody. It's thank you for joining us.
Glad you could make it.
We're very glad.
Yep, this is the first ever Save State podcast, so you are honoured incredibly to be listening to our fine voices.
Honoured and very welcome.
So let's get into it. Chud, how are you doing?
I'm alright, Sol.
Good.
A bit tired from work.
Yeah, aren't we all?
Waking up early. It's not part of the gamer's clock, really, is it?
No.
I'm supposed to be turning off the PlayStation 4 at 5:30 as opposed to waking up at said time. So,
Well,
and how are you?
I am 90% good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is 10% ominous? I mean, you left that hanging in the air, though.
10% is just constant internal self-loathing.
Oh, I see.
Like that. But it's only 10%, so on the whole, pretty good. Chud, what have you been playing?
I'm playing the game that everyone was raving about for about 3 days before Zelda came out, and that's Horizon Zero
The
Dawn.
massacre was only the beginning. Who did this to us? Who attacked the tribe?
All we can do is pray to the goddess.
No. Praying won't save us. We have to find the killers.
So you will have to leave the sacred land.
Where the trail leads, I will go.
Nice.
I got that on release. I downloaded it digitally. I'm about 6 hours in, and so far I'm very impressed.
Okay.
Like what I see. I'm also a bit surprised by what I see because I tend to try and keep myself in the dark, especially about things that I'm excited about, because I like to be surprised. I was expecting an open world sort of action adventure game with elements of crafting, etc. And then it sort of threw this really strong RPG influence that really reminded me of Mass Effect right out of the gate.
Yep.
And with the dialogue trees, etc. And I was quite pleasantly surprised by that, and I was even betterly surprised, or even more so surprised, happily, when it continued with that, and it really just sort of built up characters, story, and had storyline beats, and it made me really interested to see where it was going to go. When I say decent story, I mean a story that's investable in, something that can take you on a ride like a good book or a good film.
You know, in kind of the faults that I found in, like, The Witcher, for example, where I felt that the world was just too big and there was just too much stuff, and you'd open one question mark and then 10 others would appear. I feel like Horizon really gets that balance right of letting you explore and find things at your own pace, and just not being too bogged down in just the minutiae of these huge open world games. I mean, I really enjoy playing as character.
I think the character Aloy is I like her as a modern interpretation of a character that isn't bogged down in sexist stereotypes.
100%.
She isn't
100%.
She isn't vouching cleavage. She's got a bit of puff fat on her face. She isn't particularly the most good-looking woman, although she is attractive, but not in the classical sense. That isn't the point of her character. She's a real woman with depth. As opposed to tits and ass.
Patty cake cookies. Patty cake cookies.
Well, there's only one game to play in this week, and we've heard all about it. The critics have been raving about it.
Warhammer Quest. Anybody familiar with Warhammer? The tabletop board game. This is actually a video game version of an old Warhammer board game called Warhammer Quest, and it's not very good. To be honest, no, it's not very good.
What kind of game is this?
So it stays true to like the tabletop roots. So it's turn-based. Basically a dungeon crawler where you have 4 characters that you lead through these dungeons. It started off its life as an iOS game. Then it got, says it all, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Then it got ported to Steam, and now it's available on PlayStation 4 and I think Xbox One as well. If you're a fan of the old board games of Warhammer, then there's probably a bit to like here. It does a good job of staying true to the lore, and there's lots of familiar units and that kind of stuff. But compared to some of the dungeon crawlers out there, it's pretty weak. Controls are not optimized for a controller. It's I imagine playing it on a mobile game would be on a mobile device would actually be half decent.
Yeah.
It's written pretty well. And there's a fairly good game under the hood. It just gets buried in a lot of poor optimization for the PS4.
Sure. Well, that sounds like something I never want to play.
A while ago, we explained to you veterans and to your families how important it is for patients in Veterans Administration tuberculosis hospitals to cooperate with the doctors. Now, you see, if a tuberculosis patient insists on leaving the hospital prematurely against the advice of his doctor, well, that's his right. But you can see how dangerous this could be. Danger to the patient himself, in that he drags out his illness, makes his own recovery more difficult. Danger that he may expose to serious infection those he loves best, his family at home. Now, therein lies a great responsibility for tuberculosis patients and for their families. Following the doctor's advice may be hard, but it's sure to be wise. Remember, your doctor wants you to get well just as soon as possible. He's doing his part conscientiously. Do yours. Accept his professional advice. Stay in the hospital until your VA doctor tells you that you're well enough to go home.
What do you think that the success of Horizon will mean for Death Stranding? Being that they're both built on the same engine, how can you see Kojima using the success of Horizon and what has been built in the engine there to further his next game? Any thoughts on that?
Fucking weird. Well, the way it stands, of course, it stands very well, because this is a beautiful looking game that plays incredibly well.
And you're playing it on a Pro, is that right?
I'm playing it on the PlayStation 4 Pro.
Okay.
I've not compared it to something that isn't, the standard PlayStation 4, so I've not got any, frame of comparison. But it's a beautiful looking game. The engine, I can imagine, well, it obviously is going to work very well for Kojima's game. As far as that, how does that stand for Kojima's game? I don't think either way it's going to matter, because it's Hideo Kojima, and no matter what he's going to do, I'm sure it's going to be good. It's going to be good. It's going to be cool. It might be a bit incredibly weird. It might even ostracize quite a lot of people, but it's going to be awesome.
Yeah,
I hope so. Anyway,
that's what he does. It better be, because I think Sony have given that guy pretty much a blank check.
They've given him a shit ton of money, and as you say, I say it's probably not going to be much the engine, but I take that back. It probably is. It's a solid engine. It's a solid base to work on for this mad genius to do what he does basically.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Death Stranding, Hideo Kojima, absolutely incredible.
The brilliance of that engine can't be understated. From everything from you die, it's maximum 10 seconds load time till you're back in the game.
I hadn't appreciated that until you pointed it out to me.
Yeah, I think that it just runs smoothly. I've had no crashes. Not even really noticing any technical issues like texture pop-ins or frame rate issues. Oh, really? On the Pro?
I noticed one thing, and I had a bit of fun with it. I was looking down on, is it Mother's Landing, Mother's Milk? What is it? What's it called? The village?
Mother's Teat.
Mother's Teat.
Mother Base. We'll call it.
We'll just call it Mother Base.
Mother's Heart.
So I was Mother's Heart, something like that. I was looking down over the cliff before getting onto that quest where you went to the, and there's
wait. Spoilers.
I'm not even going to mention it.
Okay.
But you look down, and it looked beautiful, and you can see all these NPCs running about, going about the business, and you can see smoke coming up from the chimneys. And then I'd look away, and I'd look back, and the smoke had stopped and started again. So I looked away, and every time I looked away and came back, the smoke actually reset and started again.
Oh, okay.
So it wasn't radiant; it was sort of resetting every time you looked at it. That is the only glitch. You can call it a glitch, but it was certainly something that I noticed.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of fairly nitpicky, right? In the
It's
grand
incredibly
scheme of
nitpicky.
things, yeah.
I feel like a bit of a dick for pointing out.
Guerrilla have now really kind of moved themselves up into the next tier of
absolutely.
Sony developers.
I was worried at first. I didn't particularly 100% know if I thought they were going to pull this off. I don't know if Because I played what was the first person shooter they had?
Killzone.
Killzone. I played the PlayStation 4 Killzone and didn't like it.
Shadowfall.
Didn't like it.
Why? What was your problem with it?
I didn't. To be fair, I didn't give it a fair chance. I guess I played it for about 2 hours, and it just felt like I got lost. I didn't know where I was going, and even more so, while I was lost and didn't know where I was going, enemies were respawning, and it wasn't really for me.
Okay. That's fair enough. I mean, like, Killzone's always kind of been in the shadow of Call of Duty and that kind of stuff. I think it does some things fairly well. I think Killzone, I kind of enjoyed the story, to be honest, of Killzone. I mean, it was your standard meathead soldier, bro force gonna, fuck up the invaders, but it was good for what it was. But I think that Call of Duty is still the first person shooter to beat, just in terms of the way it plays and its mechanics. But
really?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I mean, like I've played pretty much every Call of Duty campaign in the last 10 years.
All of them?
Most of them, yeah, pretty much all of them.
So not all of them.
Pretty much all of them.
So there was a point when you gave up, like I gave up then.
Well, I'm trying to think that I've not played the latest one, Infinite Warfare.
No.
I haven't played that. But
that was when I put my foot down. The last one was when I put my foot down.
Okay.
In fact, that's a lie. The original time I put my foot down was Call of Duty Black Ops 2, when I realised that looking down that scope, it didn't matter if it was in the future, the past, if I was shooting dinosaurs or shooting your auntie. It didn't matter. As soon as I looked down that scope, it was the same old.
Yeah.
And then so I gave up on it. But then I got a PS4, and the one with Kevin Spacey came out, Advanced Warfare.
Yeah.
So I gave it another go, and I thought that was unique enough in its narrative. Like, did you ever play this one?
Yeah.
Like the second mission, where like it's like a 4 sort of holodeck sort of simulation.
Yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
then
You go to the house.
I thought that was all just really interesting.
Yeah.
And so I thought, oh, actually, I'm back on board with Call of Duty. That's great.
Yeah.
And then Black Ops 3 came out, and I thought, oh, I like the last one. Let's get this. And I literally got 2 levels into it, and it's back to the same old problems. Looking down that site, it felt like the same old get same old.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter how much did change. It still felt like the same thing. And that's why I still don't think it's an industry leader like at all. Really, I think the downfall of Call of Duty is coming, and it's going to be coming fast. The only reason why I think this one sold so well, and it was an expert piece of marketing by them, was to bundle the Modern Warfare thing in, and you had to get that. You had to buy the latest one to get hold of that, which is bullshit. And I predict that on the next year, Advanced Warfare 2 will be doing the same thing.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
But as far as first-person shooters go, there really isn't an industry leader at the moment. We're waiting for something to come along and shake things up.
I think that could maybe be Destiny 2, which is supposed to be coming out at the end of the year. We'll see what happens.
Maybe they've learned from the mistakes.
Yeah.
Plus, it won't be hampered by having to work on PlayStation 3s and Xbox 360s. It's going to be a constant. It's going to be a current generation sort of deal.
Yep.
Which really hampers Destiny if you played it recently, because it feels like a PlayStation 3 game when I play it on my PlayStation 4 now. It feels like a past generation game.
No, like I played Destiny quite a lot actually when it came out. I never got into the Taken King or any of the DLC, but I played the vanilla game quite extensively, and I enjoyed my time with it. But I'm not the biggest first person shooter guy. But we'll see what happens with Destiny 2. Anyway, moving on to the news. Big news this week, very big news, obviously, is the release of the Nintendo Switch.
What's that?
Who? What?
Just kidding.
When's that? Nintendo Switch is a games console that you can buy in the shops.
I see.
Yeah. Nintendo up to their old tricks. However, Zelda is praised from pretty much every single person on the planet. So much so that it is now, I think the highest reviewed game of all time. Which
is pretty amazing.
That's pretty incredible.
The second most highest reviewed game of all time. Do you know what that is?
Would it be like Super Mario 3, something like that, of all time, you're talking?
I believe, off the top of my head, it's actually Ocarina of Time, The Legend of Zelda. Now,
wow.
That isn't a comment just on, well, obviously it is a comment on Nintendo's skill and craftsmanship on making great games, but also I need you to think about this. The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, came out in 1998.
Right.
The pool for review scores was much, much smaller then. The internet was in its infancy. Mm-hmm. Now, it's like times 10 critical reviews, critiques, etc. So the fact that this has beaten that and become the world's most reviewed game of all time, best reviewed game of all time, means a lot. It means more than Ocarina of Time did in '98. It means like tenfold. I mean, when have you ever seen a game? Obviously, there's never been a game. I mean, looking at all these perfect 10 scores, 9 out of 10 reviewers.
I looked at the Metacritic score today. It's sitting at 98%,
98, yeah.
which is just absolutely insane. And Horizon's what, I think 88.
It's not in the top 10. I imagine it'll be 80 something.
So I mean, it's obviously something incredibly special. I haven't managed to play it myself. Have you?
I've not. No. I've been sitting there fighting off the urge to run down to Argos and put a Switch on my credit card.
Yeah. But again, you know, is it worth paying 400 quid for essentially one game?
Now you see, this is the argument, isn't it? So my brother brought home The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past for the SNES. Now, I must have been, I'm gonna say 9 at the time. And this game blew my mind, and I'll tell you why. He put it in and he showed it me, and the very first thing that happened is he'd asked me what my name was. So instead of
what did you just type as your name?
I typed in Richard.
Not Chud.
Chud. I wasn't Chud then.
Oh.
I was a little baby Richard. So
Dick.
I typed in Richard, and then at that point I was like, "Whoa, am I the adventurer? Oh, that's kind of cool." So that was point 1, and then point 2 came directly after it. There was the story, and then I woke up, and you were in your uncle's house, and the uncle started talking to you, and it was like a book, and it had a story, and I never experienced this before. And as a young man, I tried to read Roald Dahl, and I was into like things like that, and this is the first time that I felt like books and games were crossing over, and it blew my mind. And it gripped me, and I was like, whoa, I'm in this adventure. My uncle's just told me to go to the fortress to go and save this princess. And that blew my mind. And I thought that was absolutely amazing.
My first Zelda game was Ocarina of Time, which I just love that game, every inch of that game. I remember getting it on the first day of release. I think my dad went down to Toys R Us and bought it for me or something. And I remember 2 days later, John Gateskull, his name was John Gateskull, came to school and was like, "Finished Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time." I was like, "No, you haven't." So yeah, I fucking did. In fact, Ganon at the end, I was like, "No way." That instantly made John Gateskull the coolest kid in the school for about 2 days until everybody realised that he was a bit of a dickhead.
My complexion's so bad, I hate to go out.
But I've had this conversation with myself before with the Wii U. I know a lot. The Wii U has a lot of fans out there, and I did enjoy my time with it. But I bought a Wii U.
It actually has no fans out there, but carry on.
No, it does. It has quite well. It has a cult following. Let me just say that. Obviously, it didn't translate into sales figures or anything like that. But I bought a Wii U for Mario Kart. Even though I didn't even bought it for the Mario Kart, I bought it because I wanted something nice for myself. So I got Mario Kart, and I love playing that. And I told myself, well, I can play all the Wii games, and I did. I played Mario Galaxy 2 for a little bit, and then after that was it. And I was like, no, you can play this, that, and the other. And I never really got around to playing any of the games, and nothing really came out. And plus, there's always the problem with Nintendo. The games never really do seem to come down in price. It's really unusual why that never happens. And so it means that you can never really buy things on budget, which is a massive part of being a gamer. When you play PlayStation, Xbox, you can go into the second-hand game store, and after a couple of years, you can get a really great game for a tenner or under a tenner. That will never ever happen with a Nintendo console.
Moving on to the next piece of big news. This week,
The world
Shadow of War was leaked by Target, I believe.
Target of Italy, I think, or might be France.
Look at
I should
Target.
probably do my research, but fuck it.
Target being at the forefront of breaking game news there.
In the fires of Mount Doom, a ranger and a wraith, bound together in death, crafted the one thing that could challenge Sauron, a ring of power.
But yeah, I mean, it's no real secret that this was in development.
What are they going to do? What is Warner Bros. Going to do with this engine and those 2 years that they've had with this console? So I'm quite excited about it.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I think talking about the Nemesis system, I'm really surprised that no other games have kind of copied that or tried to use that in a similar way.
Yeah. Didn't Mafia 3 try that? I never played the game, but I heard that it tried something similar.
Yeah, I think so in a way. But I just thought that was the part of the game that everybody loved. So I thought other games would have stolen that, except if you played the game on PS3 because the Nemesis system wasn't in that version. Do you know that?
Good lord.
Yeah. So
that really just sort of strip the game of its
don't
bird
play the
bones.
game
Like,
on old.
did you play Super Mario Brothers on the Wii instead of the Wii U? It didn't have any green or red shells or stars in it. That seems really bizarre to me because the crux of that game was the Nemesis system.
Totally. So
I have heard in regards to the Nemesis system that they have fleshed out even more now. That it actually they have elements of buddy. There's a buddy system now.
Huh.
And that works in a similar way to the Nemesis system.
Okay.
This is something I've heard about in passing, so I'm excited to see what they're going to do with that. It's coming out in August.
It's this year,
I don't
right?
know. It's this year, absolutely. It's coming out in August this year, so obviously it's quite far along. Also, what I quite like about the trailer is at the end of the trailer, they actually, I don't know if you caught this, but they've given a release date for gameplay footage. It's coming out in 2 weeks.
Okay, cool.
So we're going to see gameplay footage in 2 weeks. That's quite nice.
Yeah.
So it's all quite tight, which is quite interesting, really, because obviously it's a leak. So Warner Bros. Had to push along the actual concept trailer.
Yeah.
Had to push it along and put it out. And doing that in 2 weeks, we're getting a gameplay trailer.
We toast them crisp, we toast them light. You can tell by the taste. We toast them, they're a tasty treat, so good to eat, delicious and light from toasting. Toasting. And you know what? We like 'em.
Judd, I wanted to introduce a kind of a meaty question for the mid part of this show. Get your opinions on it. It's something I've been thinking about for a little while, but I just wanted to, see what your thoughts were on the topic. And the topic is this: what do you feel is the role of exclusives in terms of console sales, historically, as well? Going back to things like the Mega Drive and stuff like that. Honestly, they created Sonic to help try and sell consoles as a competition to Mario. And do you think that they are as important as they used to be in terms of shifting actual units? Let's take, for example, Zelda. Okay, Zelda, like we said before, is getting absolutely fantastic reviews across the board. Do you think that it's going to sell Switches?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. I think that this thing matters, or exclusive matters, on a console-to-console basis. I was originally going to say, and to be honest I agree with this, that console exclusives do not matter. They don't matter as much as they used to be. Will people really buy a PlayStation for Horizon Zero Dawn? Yeah, probably, absolutely. But we live in a different time now. People buy PlayStations, Xboxes to play online with their friends. The main thing isn't exclusives anymore. It is what your friends are playing online. And that's exactly what that's what it is. That's where the money is.
Yep.
There is still a contingent that will buy a PlayStation for Horizon, Bloodborne, and so they should, because PlayStation is their exclusives wipe the flow of Xbox One's exclusives. Absolutely. Gears of War 4, I didn't finish because I didn't like it. I didn't like it because since Gears of War 2, shit hasn't changed. It hasn't gotten better to the extent that I thought it would. Neither has Halo. I remember playing Halo 3, and Halo 3 is one of my favourite games of all time. It's possibly the most fun I've ever had playing it multiplayer with my friends. And I remember at the time sitting there in this war zone, having an absolute blast with my friends, and wondering someday there is going to be another Xbox console, and I want to know what the mainline Halo game from that game is going to be like.
Yeah.
It's going to be war. It's going to be amazing. And I can tell you right now that Halo 5 isn't.
Yeah, I mean, my fondest memories of Halo and probably the Xbox 360 in general is Halo multiplayer, Halo 3, and Halo cooperative, which you cannot do in the latest Halo release. So,
that was a misstep. But also going back to Xbox being so customer friendly, but using that customer friendliness to catch up to the PlayStation audience, there was a controversy about Halo 5 not being local multiplayer. So there should be. And do you know what they've done? They've listened. Yeah. The next Halo game, it's been confirmed, will have local split screen multiplayer.
Yeah,
it's going to happen.
I mean, I feel bad for Xbox in a way because I've no doubt that it's a really fucking good console, but they're having to play catch up. They
it's
lost.
not a really great console, to be honest.
No,
no, it's not. I own both, and PlayStation 4 is massively superior.
Yeah. Why? Because of the
technically
games?
it just runs better. It's got a better design. The interface is easier to use. And then the most important thing, if you're a gamer who owns both, you're looking at the console exclusives. Okay, so let's look at the console exclusives. Let's break this down here. Okay, so I've already touched on PlayStation 4. The two that instantly spring to mind are Bloodborne and Horizon. Now I own both of these two games, and I can tell you that they're both incredible, amazing. I'm still playing Bloodborne now. I'm going for that platinum because I love the game so much. And Horizon, it's great. Now Xbox One, what is there's Halo 5, which I got towards the end, buddy, and I didn't like it. I just stopped playing it really. I mean, I say I didn't like it. It was Halo 5 is a good game, and the multiplayer is fun, but it wasn't. Going back to my point, playing Halo 3, wondering, dreaming what Halo would be like on the next gen console. It's not that incredible epic war that I thought it was going to be. Now, worse than that, Gears of War 4. Okay, I played this game. I got about halfway through it. No, it felt like a game stuck in a previous generation.
I mean, look at what, for example, Microsoft has got coming out in the future. Can you name one Microsoft exclusive that people are excited about? Is that ever actually going to get released?
Of course it is.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Because I've heard pretty bad things about it.
Oh really? What have you heard?
I've heard that it doesn't run very well. I've heard that it's kind of in a bit of a development hell.
Oh, they're in. Was it beta now?
I don't know.
And to be fair to whatever raw is these days, I mean it isn't raw. I don't know what to call them.
Yeah.
Medium raw, whatever medium raw is doing these days. They're not the company that they used to be.
No.
And to be fair to them, no matter how talented these guys are, they are coming off dealing with Kinect games.
Yeah.
So they are having to learn a new skill set and do something new. And I respect them for doing that because I think Sea of Thieves sounds like an incredibly interesting IP, and I'm totes up for it.
Yeah.
However, do I think it's going to be amazing? No, I think it's going to be a complete letdown.
No. Yeah, totally. I mean, but then you compare the Xbox lineup to, for example, the PlayStation lineup, where you have things like Death Stranding, Gran Turismo Sport.
Not into that.
Say again?
I'm not into Gran Turismo.
Well, you're an idiot. A whole litany of games coming out, that are planned for over the next couple of years, and Xbox doesn't have that. And I think that, like we were saying earlier, that exclusives used to sell consoles. I don't think it's as important now, but if you look at the two slates between Microsoft and Sony, you have to go with Sony in terms of exclusives. They have some of the best developers on the planet. Like,
and Xbox tried, but I mean, like Recall, I remember at E3 thinking that looks good.
Yep.
It sucked. Apparently, I've never played the game. It reviewed poorly. I was disappointed and never played it.
Yep.
And then there was the other game. What was it called with the big dragon and the hipster dude with the big headphones? Scalebound. That was it.
Cancelled.
Exactly. But the thing is, this looks like the killer IP that Xbox, Microsoft was putting all their money in, and the cancellation to me came out of nowhere.
Yeah. Well, I think that I wouldn't say that I saw the cancellation coming, but I would say that Platinum Games were definitely spreading themselves very, very, very thin.
Absolutely.
They had 3 or 4 different games in the development, and Platinum Games had a pretty mixed track record. You can look at stuff like Metal Gear Revengeance, which is really, really good. You can look at stuff like Vanquish, which is a fantastic game. But then you had shit, to be fair, like Legend of Korra, I think was one of theirs, which was universally panned.
Didn't they do Bayonetta?
Yes, they did. Okay, again, an excellent game by most accounts.
And the Wii U exclusive, the second one.
Totally. But Platinum Games, like I said, spreading themselves too thin. I think once you get to a stage where your studio is working on 3 projects, let alone 2, more than 2 projects, I think you really need to have a really good management in place in the studio where you can manage these different projects. I think that it becomes a lot more complicated when you're developing more than one game.
How many studios does Platinum have? Do you know?
No, I mean there's one studio, but I think that teams. I think they probably
all working from one studio, one office.
Correct.
Then that's a problem. They've clearly spread themselves too thin. Because if you think about a Rockstar or a Bethesda or a Ubisoft, then again I'm thinking of publishers now. Whereas Platinum are acting like a publisher, but they're not. They're a single developer.
Yep. Agreed. Agreed. They need to be careful. But yeah, I mean, in terms of like the roles of exclusives in terms of actually shifting consoles, we'll see how Legend of Zelda does. I'm sure it will sell some Switches. I hope to God it sells some Switches.
I don't think it'll sell gangbusters.
Like, I mean, if the highest rated game of all time doesn't manage to move consoles, then Nintendo have got a problem, right?
I don't believe it will do.
Mm.
I don't know why I think that, but
here's what I think. I think that, like we were saying, exclusives don't matter as much as they used to. What matters most are the games that sell the most, which are Call of Duty, FIFA, these kind of things. If you can buy those games on a console plus a console that has the great exclusives, then why wouldn't you go with that? Why would you go with the console that, okay, you can play the games that most of your friends are playing, but nothing else? Example, Xbox.
That comes first, doesn't it? Playing what your friends are playing.
Yeah, totally.
The thing with Nintendo is they willfully do not take part in that.
Yeah.
And that's probably a hindrance. How many times can Nintendo fly close to the sun before the wind's better?
Well, I mean, the Wii U was pretty much in the center of the sun. So
are they making the same mistakes already with the Switch?
That remains to be seen. Nintendo have, historically have a tendency to underproduce their consoles. They did it with the Wii, for example. Went on to become one of the best-selling consoles of all time, but you could not buy that console for like the first year of its release. The NES Classic would have been a fantastic Christmas present for thousands, millions of people if people could buy it. Like a $60 console aimed at people that used to play these fantastic games when, it
would have done gangbusters.
100%.
It should have done.
100%. And there is no reason, because you cannot tell me that the NES Classic is hard to produce.
No.
You can't. Like, the hardware in that is nothing compared to modern day consoles.
What is Nintendo's mind frame for them deliberately doing this?
I mean, there is evidence that says that manufactured scarcity, like Nintendo practice, works. Because what it does, it gives the consumer the idea that it's a sold-out product, it's a wanted product, therefore it must be good. Okay? But, on the other hand, Nintendo seems to be, in my opinion, on the other side of that, where they could be selling more units, but just out of sheer... they're out of touch, man. That's what it comes down to me. They're out of touch.
Yeah.
When I think of Nintendo, I think of 10 Japanese guys sitting in a boardroom high in a top tower in Tokyo that don't really have much idea of the gaming market. Now, they're a Japanese company. They traditionally do incredibly well in Japan, but they do find it hard sometimes to sell consoles in Europe, places like this. So we'll see what happens to Nintendo. I mean, they have so fucking much money, it's unbelievable, off the back of the Wii U, off the back of the Wii, apologies, that there are figures going around that they have $7 billion in cash in the bank, that they can pretty much do whatever they want. Like, Nintendo are able to sustain themselves for the next 20-30 years without any problem at all, regardless of what they release. But a healthy Nintendo is healthy for the industry. Competition is good. So I wish them the best of luck. I really do hope that the Switch succeeds.
Nintendo, it's almost like they're not competition. It's almost like they're the niche. They're the alternative to the competition. And I think they know that. And I think that when you bring up the X amount of billions that they have in the bank, they know that. And it's in a weird way to say this about a big, large business conglomerate, that they're not even trying to make money. I don't know what they're trying to do, because they mustn't be, because what they're doing is backwards. With especially with the NES, the NES Classic is a perfect example of motherfuckers trying not to make money. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Am I wrong? Because if they do make another batch, the buzz is gone. Do join us again when we will be talking about the gaming universe and putting the world to rest.
Thank you very much, everybody. This has been Safe State. Keep on gaming.